Hello there. Joining me on Off the Record today is television journalist Sebastian, most popularly known for his hard talk on the BBC. Sebastian is also the chairman of the Doha Debates, a forum for free speech in Qatar. It is the highest rated weekend television program on BBC World News. It is also telecast by a host of television channels in America, Canada and parts of Asia. Tim has braved a particularly vehement downpour, floods and potholed roads in Chennai to reach our television studio in Perugudi, and I thank you for that.
Thank you very much, but not a drop reached me. But it was impressive rain, I have to say.
We even tried to create a sort of a set that you use on Hard Talk, so I'd like your opinion on that.
Bleak, intimidating. It looks more like a jail, actually.
And I'm actually quaking because I've only seen you grill people you interview, and I'm thinking maybe you have a grilling technique up your sleeve even when you're being interviewed.
No, I don't think so. I'm off duty. The problem with interviewing is that everybody thinks you're that hard guy who sits there and grills people and squeezes them and holds them to account. And yes, you do, but it's part of a job. I believe the job is important. I believe it's part of holding people to account, and that's what you have to do in free societies. But it's not my life. My life is something else. I mean, my children don't quake when they see me.
Good, so you've put me at ease now. Tell us, why are you in India?
I was invited by the Entrepreneurs Organization, which, as you know, has branches not only all around India, but all around the world. And they very kindly asked me to hold a few debates, not for broadcast, but private debates, and also say a few words about what I thought was going on in the rest of the world. So I was in India in February. We were holding a Doha debate there, talking about the position of Muslims in Indian society. That was in Delhi at St. Stephen's College. And some people suggested then, why don't you come back to India and see about doing some more debates? So it's always a pleasure. First time in Chennai.
What was the topic here?
The topic was British rule good for India?
Interesting.
And so we had I'm still licking my wounds, actually, because you can tell which way it went.
I think we'll keep talking about that, you know, till, I don't know, we never seem to tire of that topic.
I think I was surprised that people had so much passion about it, that they really got excited about it, that it really is a live issue, if you like. I would have thought it was dead and buried a long time ago, but what do I know? I've come here to be surprised. I am surprised. I'm surprised by what people talk about, and I've had my eyes opened. And as I say, I'm licking my wounds.
So were you just a moderator, or were you on?
I was moderating. I was moderating, yeah. Thankfully, nobody asked me my views. There you are.
I was thinking we could start by talking about the Doha Debates, which you started in 2004. And I think it's a revolutionary move considering where it takes place. You say that the concept was born when you were in conversation with Qatar's Emir Sheikh Hamad.
It was born in a lunch, like so many good things.
Yeah, and he's been very, very supportive through the years, right? So the first two debates addressed the Arab world's aversion to reform.
Absolutely.
And the second one was the separation of the state from the mosque.
Absolutely.
Both very incendiary topics.
Well, we've become more incendiary as we've gone on. I mean, we've done things like inviting a serving Israeli politician, Shimon Peres. He was Deputy Prime Minister when we invited him. He's now Israeli President. And the thing is that the conditions under which we operate are very unique, actually, in the Arab world. We don't ask permission for anything we do, and we don't accept any interference in the topics that we talk about or the guests that we invite. So we retain absolute editorial independence, and that really is absolutely unique in the Arab world.
You have the Emir's backing, of course, but it couldn't have been smooth all the way. Don't tell me you haven't faced any kind of roadblocks.
Well, we haven't faced roadblocks, and in fact, I always said to everybody, look, if you're going to lean on us, if anybody leans on us, if anybody tries to take away our editorial independence, we will go, we will pack up and go. I'm not going to go to the rest of the world and say, here's an example of free speech if it isn't. I believe passionately in free speech. I believe that what we do advances the cause of free speech because it gives predominantly young people a chance to talk about controversial issues, sometimes for the first time in their life. I mean, debating isn't a Western construct. It's something that came out of that region. I mean, 1400 years ago, when the Prophet was there, they were debating, they were arguing, they were probing, they were inquiring in a way that's fallen so much into abeyance in the Arab world.
But considering the way the climate is in the Arab world, do you think it's serendipity that this happened, or did you go there with a mission in your mind?
I didn't go there with a mission in my mind, but I was asked whether I had anything to contribute to the reform process that was taking place at the time, and I said no, but I'll go away and think about it, and I came up with the idea of town hall debates. And what I didn't expect was, and this has been the great joy of doing it, is that the young people would buy into it to such an extent. They really like to talk, they really like to have their views heard, again for the first time in their life. They like to be able to squeeze people of influence. And there's such a different generation from the generation of their parents.
I'm not surprised by the fact that young people want to talk and air their views, but what I am surprised is the progressive mindedness of the Emir and his wife, who heads the Qatar Foundation. I think it's really laudable.
Well, we're very lucky that they've given us this platform. I would have liked to have seen more trickle-down effect from the debates to the local or regional media. I'd like to have seen them get progressively freer. But that hasn't happened, and regrettably I think they've gone in the opposite direction in the last 3 or 4 years. We're seeing much more state interference in the media, and that's a pity. That's a pity.
Now, what do you think about the Al Jazeera?
But I think it's brilliant that it's there, and I think particularly the English service, I think it's the best station bar none coming out of the Middle East. I think it has the best standards, best editorial standards of any station coming out of the Middle East.
Are they supportive of these debates?
Well, they don't actually have anything to do with the debates at all.
You're not telecast by them?
We're not telecast by Al Jazeera.
And
no,
why is that, you think?
Well, because when we started, Al Jazeera, the English service, didn't exist. So we went to the BBC, and you can see it from the Qataris' point of view. They can have 50 to 500 programs on Al Jazeera, but this is the only one they've got on the BBC. So I think they'd rather keep that than put us on Al Jazeera, and I'm not sure necessarily that we would fit in Al Jazeera. I think our format is very much a BBC format. I've been working with the BBC on and off for 35 years. So
can we talk about the
typecast?
Can we talk about the format? I know it's modelled after the Oxford Union debates, but
and streamlined for television a little bit.
So tell us a bit more about it, about how you choose the motion and the speakers.
Well, we choose a motion to be controversial, you know, something like...
Which is your middle name. Tim Controversial Sebastian.
Something like that. No, we choose topics like Arabs are not doing it, or Muslims are not doing enough to combat extremism, something like that. And discovering in doing so that our audience can be very self-critical. That motion passed. They similarly passed a motion saying that the Sudanese president should be handed over to the War Crimes Tribunal, International War Crimes Tribunal, directly against the line that their government puts out. So we're seeing quite a bit of self-assertiveness coming out of these debates. These young people really pushing a different line from that of the authorities around them.
No, of course these debates encourage free speech, no doubt. But do you think it's also a ploy by the Emir to be in the media spotlight?
Well, I'm not saying he doesn't get anything out of it, but I'm saying that we get something out of it in terms of flying the flag for free speech and allowing young kids to practice it, actually put it into practice, not just talk about it, but do it, hold people to account, give their opinions, sometimes very controversial opinions. And that really is something that I hope will stand them in very good stead in the years to come, because it's a very young population in the Arab world. And when these people reach positions of authority, I hope they'll remember what it's like to listen to alternative points of view, debate alternative points of view, and change your mind, allow your mind to be changed, have an open mind to things. You know, too often in this region, it's a very rough neighborhood, the Middle East. People come, you know, with centuries of feuds and disagreements and wars behind them. There's a lot of baggage that is foisted onto the young people. But these kids are different. They're thinking differently. Their minds are opening. And I'd like to think, in a small way, that we've helped to contribute to it.
I think when we come back after the break, Tim, you must tell us whether you've been able to quantify the positive fallout, as it were, of these debates. But let's do that after a short break. I'm in conversation with Tim Sebastian on Off the Record.